Welcome to the worst financial mistakes in the Bible and how you can avoid them. Today we're going to cover chapter 1, Seeking the Best the World Has to Offer. Now this is a common mistake that we all make. I can vividly remember in my childhood the first time that I ever saw a Chevrolet Corvette Stingray. It was bright red and a convertible. I looked at it, I couldn't believe how beautiful it was. And I said to myself, one day I'll be driving one of those. I desired the best that the world had to offer. Now, this is the same trap that Lot fell into. It's documented in Genesis chapter 13. And I hope you've read this chapter and you've read this passage. And you understand that Lot was presented with an incredible choice. You see, we're all given a choice as to what we really desire, what's really in our heart. And wise Uncle Abram said to Lot, there's conflict between us. In fact, it was over money and possessions. They were both already wealthy. They both had plenty of livestock, plenty of assets, but there was quarreling between them. And Abram wanted to settle this. And so in his generous spirit and his desire to take care of this problem, he said to Lot, make a choice. Look at all of this land, and you choose. Which one will you have? Now don't forget, Abram was about 75 years old. He was much older than Lot, and he had been taking care of him all of his life. He had rescued him before, bringing him out of the land of Ur. And then Lot looked around, and he made a choice. He said, I will take the well-watered land. Well, imagine what he just said to his Uncle Abram. He said to him, I want the best. If you're raising livestock, what do you need? Water, where things grow, where they can have water to drink and where the grass grows. And Lot said to his very own uncle, I'll take that for myself. So I followed this story because I realized that many of us make those same kind of choices. Given the option between the worst or the best, we think we should have the best. But there were terrible consequences to Lot's choice. Do you remember the rest of the story? Lot pitched his tent towards Sodom. And the Bible said Sodom was a place where there was great wickedness and great sinfulness. So a part of what came with that choice was planting himself in an area where he was going to be tempted to be pulled into the rest of the world's desires. And eventually, Abram had to go and rescue Lot after everything was taken from him. Do you know the irony? Is that Lot lost everything, and Abram eventually got it all back. You see, Lot made a personal choice that he wanted the best for himself, and Abram was generous and surrendered that desire. But he ended up with all of the land. You see, we're all tempted to choose the best for ourselves. Marketers know this, and so they use 4 simple words to try to get us to desire something that we don't have. More, bigger, better, or faster. If the wristwatch is bigger or better or newer, then we want it. We lose contentment with what we already have. And so we desire a better car, a better house, better clothes. All these things are the desire to continually upgrade. And it keeps us discontent. And it keeps us focused on acquiring things. You see, Satan knows this is a trap that he can pull us into. We need to learn to avoid it. One of the ways to avoid it is to surrender your desire to always have the best for yourself. I want you to listen to how Paul described this. I'm referencing right out of the book, and I hope you read this in chapter 1. Paul said in Philippians 2, 3, and 4, do nothing out of selfish ambition or vain conceit. You know what he's saying here? Get rid of that motive, that it's all about us, that everything is about improving my life. Or vain conceit, meaning I want to be better than others. I want to have more than they do. That's exactly the attitude that trapped Lot and eventually led to his destruction. What Abram did was surrendered his right to have the best. He could have demanded it, but he absolutely surrendered it. Paul said, rather in humility, value others above yourselves, not looking to your own interest, but each of you to the interest of others. I was sharing this with my 13-year-old son recently. He said, Dad, read that again. does it say value others more than yourself? I said, yes, it does. He said, that's impossible. I could value them equal, but not better. I always feel like I'm going to be a little bit better. And he was just admitting that he hadn't surrendered his desire to always have the best, to always be a little bit better than others. But that's the secret. When you can let go of that, you will experience peace like you've never had. You'll experience true contentment in your life. And it will help you to avoid many, many, many financial mistakes. So the first mistake to remember is the desire to have the best the world has to offer. And to overcome it, surrender our desires to always have the best. Remember the story of Lot's fatal choice. Now, I want to remind you that at the end of every chapter, there's an application section. It's very helpful to actually do these applications. Also, if you're doing this in a group, be sure and download the discussion questions and go through those after the end of each chapter.